you play that song for me? It's my favorite song.
Welcome to another episode of Your Journey to You, where we dive deep into the transformative journey of self-discovery and personal growth. Today is a very special episode because it marks the beginning of understanding my first core pillar, evaluating where you're at. It's about recognizing our current state, appreciating what we have, and acknowledging the power within us to change our circumstances for the better. In this episode, we're not just chatting, we're taking action. We're going to play a simple yet valuable game that lets you truly see where you stand in the important areas of your life. This isn't just about passively listening, it's about rolling up your sleeves and getting involved in carving out your future. I know this sounds like a crazy request, but I urge you to get a journal for this podcast. This isn't about jotting down thoughts in any old notebook. It's about having a dedicated space where you're going to confront and explore who you are. Think of it as a tool that helps bridge the gap between listening and living the change. Expect to find prompts that nudge you to reflect deeper, challenges that push you out of your comfort zone, and discoveries that reveal more about how you engage with the world. Just get a journal. Seriously, you're going to wish 4 episodes in that you had a journal. Get a journal now. Before we dive into the core of today's topic, let me share my origin story with you. So grab your journal, get comfortable, and let's embark on this transformative journey together. 2 years ago, I was penniless. Actually, I was deeply in debt. My life was endlessly chaotic. I couldn't book an unpaid acting job to save my life. My relationships were draining. Personal time? What's that? And my boundaries? Well, I'm not sure I even knew the definition of the word boundaries. That's how disconnected I was from myself. My world felt like it was slowly imploding and there was no end in sight. Like my life was just destined to be these series of difficult, all-consuming tasks that never left time for me. But from the outside, it looked like I had everything together. I was a supportive friend, therapy goer, a hard worker. I would go above and beyond in my relationships. I was thoughtful of other people's feelings before I did anything. Yet, I felt like I was getting further and further away from my goals every day. Cue my saving grace, my honeymoon, the break I didn't know I needed. Enter stage left, vacation Megan. She was vibrant, adventurous, and an utterly joyous human who was fun and real, and small things made her day, like getting dressed up for dinner or putting makeup on or going on a spontaneous adventure. And to tell you the truth, as my vacation wrapped up, I was a little scared because I felt like I had finally discovered who I was, and I didn't want to lose all this progress I had made shifting back into reality. So I made a promise to myself and to the spirit of vacation Megan that she wasn't going to get left behind. She was who I truly, truly wanted to be. So we're back in reality, and the next 2 years were a journey of healing and learning about myself and how I relate to the world and embracing my authentic and creative and vibrant side while also giving life to the hurt and the trauma that I had experienced growing up. And guess what? I started booking acting work. What? And that's when I created this coaching program called Your Journey to You. It encompasses all the core pillars of my life that were in disarray 2 years ago and gives you a step-by-step plan to turn it all around in your favor. This program teaches you how to build upon what you have and reframe and rework these important pillars of your life that you need to sustain you and ultimately your career, because there's no creative career without you, my darling. So today I'm here, I'm raw, I'm real, I'm sharing my journey to me with you, because if I did it, so can you. Let's go through each pillar together. So pillar number 1 is what we're talking about today. It's evaluating where you're at. And if you're listening to this, I would bet that you are the type of person who is good at self-reflection. Here's where you're going to need your pen and paper because we're going to start breaking it down together. I'm going to give you 2 questions that you might actually need to pause the podcast for. But other than that, the responses for the rest of the episode should be quick and easy. No need to pause. So here's your first couple questions to get you started. Question number 1 is, what is your biggest struggle in your life and your acting career right now? Now, feel free to pause the podcast here. Awesome. And question 2 is, how does this challenge affect your day-to-day life? Pause alert. Welcome back. Moving forward today, we're going to play a little game where you get to rate on a scale of 1 to 10 the quality of every core pillar of your life as a starting point. And as we go through each pillar, I'm going to give you a score for how I was doing 2 years ago versus how I was doing now. This is why I want you to create a journal for your journey, because I want you to be able to go back 6 months from now and rate yourself again so that you have a metric to rate your progress. Here we go. Pillar number 2 is pinpointing your tribe. We're talking about finding a group of dedicated relationships that lift you up and help you build the life of your dreams. Who is in your corner? In terms of relationships, 2 years ago, I would probably give myself a rating of maybe 4. I had a couple really good quality relationships, but I also had a couple of really unhealthy relationships. And as we're moving forward to now, I think I would rate myself at probably an 8, because all of these relationships that I'm surrounding myself with are quality people that I care about their opinion. They raise me up, I raise them up, and we just keep building a better and better life together. So drop in your rating, scale of 1 to 10. What is the quality of your relationships now? Pillar number 3 is designing your self-care blueprint. This is all about identifying self-care activities that make you feel like you come first. What's in your self-care blueprint? I would say back then, rating myself on self-care, I would give myself a 0 or a 1. That's how bad I was at self-care. I honestly didn't even know what self-care could be or what it was for. I just didn't even have time to think about self-care. And that's when you need self-care. And then if I'm looking forward to now and thinking about how I'd rate myself now in self-care, I would give myself probably a 7 because I have the tools at my disposal for whenever I need them. I know what I can go to when I need it, but I don't always think about going to my self-care right away. Sometimes it takes me a little bit to catch on that, I've stopped doing my self-care and that's what I need in this moment right now. So I give myself a 7. It's time to rate 1 to 10. How equipped are you with self-care tools? Pillar number 4 is transforming anxiety into action. What's your ability to transform your anxiety into action so that you can pave a path to a joyous life? What steps are you taking to manage your worries? If I was looking back, I would probably give myself a 2 because I didn't even know that it was possible to transform your anxiety into actions. I had no clue whatsoever. But anxiety was also pushing me to do a few things. So I'll give myself a 2. And then for now, I would give myself a 9 because now I know when I'm feeling anxiety that I can take action and that's going to take care of the anxiety itself. And I've learned that when I'm having moments of there's no work coming in, that I can create work for myself. And there's a lot of power in that. So we're back at it again. Let's rate. How effective are you at transforming anxiety into action right now? Pillar number 5 is healing from your history. It's so important to heal past traumas that have kept you stuck for years. Are you ready to release what no longer serves you? 2 years ago, I was so deeply overwhelmed with all these areas of my life that I didn't even have time to address the trauma. I was in therapy. I had a few really good relationships, but I was so busy trying to take care of all these other aspects of my life that were in disarray that even though I was conscious of the trauma, I wasn't actually taking the time to sit down and to cry and to work through each past trauma and to heal it, to be able to let it go. And then based on now, Over the past 2 years, I've spent a lot of time healing my past trauma. And yes, new things start to pop up, or old things that I never completely resolved pop up now and then. But now I have the tools to deal with them. And I know how to complete that process so I can let go of whatever new trauma that's popped up that isn't serving me. And I've also noticed that when a new trauma is coming up, it's trying to teach me about something that's happening in my life right now. So it gives me this moment of introspection where I can say, I'm not in the same moment that I was in then. And so I don't think I actually gave myself a rating for the past. I'm going to give myself a 0 for the past because I wasn't actively working on anything emotionally. I was logically in my mind space, but not emotionally. And for now, if I'm rating myself for now, I would say I'm probably a 7. And I give myself a 7 because new things pop up and there are a few old things that still bother me, but I'm working through them. But I also know that it's not an overnight process and it takes some time. So that's what I would give myself for a rating for now. It's time to rate. To what extent are your traumas holding you back? Next is pillar number 6, redefining boundaries. In this pillar, we're talking about creating boundaries and breaking free from people-pleasing behaviors. What boundaries do you need to establish? Rating myself from back then, I would say I had 0 boundaries. Like I said before, I didn't even know the definition of this word. And I don't mean that literally, but I was so bad at establishing boundaries. It was so uncomfortable and just not a part of who I had grown to be. And so I would rate myself a 1 because occasionally I'd be able to establish some boundary, but I wouldn't be able to follow through with it. And then if I'm rating myself for now, I would say, I'm going between a 7 and an 8. Because I love helping people so much, sometimes I do lose time for activities that I've planned because I want to support somebody in their growth journey. And I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I just think that's part of my passion and who I am. I would give myself a 7. So drop in your rating, scale of 1 to 10, creating boundaries and breaking free from people-pleasing behaviors. Pillar number 7 is celebrating your body with kindness. Oh, this is hard. Our bodies work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for us. They never get a break. So celebrating your body for the amazing work it does for you every day is essential. What negative thought about yourself do you need to reframe today? If I am rating myself back then, I'm going to give myself, I want to give myself a 0. A 0. I was so body negative to the point where I couldn't even see progress. I couldn't even recognize that my body was taking care of me 24/7. I was just so ashamed of how I looked. It was so much easier to focus on all the things I didn't like. And it took some time, but I have reframed how I think about my body so much. I am so grateful and thankful for my body now versus before I was treating it so badly. Now I put only good foods in my body and I really treat it more like it's my machine. And with any machine, you really have to take care of it to have long-term use of that machine. And so it took a lot of time, but I would rate myself a 9 now. Occasionally I'll have a negative thought about my body, but I'm so quick to reframe it into positive because I'm just so thankful for my legs that walk and my hands that are such a useful tool and my mind. And I'm just so thankful for my body. So that's what I would rate myself. It's that time again. Rate how positive you are about your body image. Pillar number 8 is unmasking the patterns of self-sabotage. We're talking about learning how to recognize and press pause on self-sabotage so you can turn it into your dream life and reality. What patterns are you ready to break? 2 years ago, I couldn't even recognize self-sabotage patterns at all. It was like unconscious that I was doing it, and I was doing it all the time. I would get an audition for an acting project and then just ghost it, because I was so good at self-sabotaging and because I didn't think I was really worthy of success. Self-sabotage was something that just recently I've started to really be able to spot. And when I spot self-sabotage, I always do opposite action of whatever I'm trying to sabotage within my life. And I've also noticed one habit for me in particular that resonates with self-sabotage is procrastination. When I want to procrastinate on something, it's usually because it's something that I really need to get done and it's really something important. Back then, I would rate myself a 0 or 1 because I couldn't even recognize the patterns of self-sabotage, let alone know I was doing it. And if I'm flipping the script and talking about today, I would say it's similar with transforming anxiety into action is transforming self-sabotage into action. And I would give myself an 8. I would give myself an 8 because I'm pretty good at recognizing self-sabotaging habits now and turning around really quickly so that I don't waste time because I want to get to that dream career. So here we are again, 1 to 10. How frequently do you engage in self-sabotage? Pillar number 9 is embracing your inner child. This pillar is all about reminding little you that you will always have little yous back, even as you soar to new heights. So how will you embrace and reassure your inner child today? Back then, I was pretty in tune with my inner child. My inner child was pretty hurt. I would give myself with this one a 5 because I knew how I felt. I knew how my inner little me felt and how my little me was being reflected into my adult life. And then if we're talking about today, I would rate my inner child probably an 8. My inner child now knows that I have their back. And so I don't hear from them very often anymore. I don't feel those little hurts from when I was a child much anymore because I've taken the time to reassure me that I got my back and I'm going to take care of myself. We're back at the rating time. Assess the quality of your relationship with your inner child. And the last pillar is unlocking your self-worth. And this pillar is where it's at. This pillar encompasses everything that we've already talked about and is this beautiful discovery of your inner strength and your journey to building a life you love. Are you ready to start seeing your true worth? Last rating. If I was giving myself a score back then, I would have given myself again a 0. Wah, wah. I really did not believe that I was enough for anything or that I was worthy of success or this dream career that I really desperately wanted. And as I grew and I healed myself in all these different areas, my self-worth started to grow. And I started to feel this ability to take care of myself, that I could handle anything that was thrown at me anytime. And so today I would rate myself a 9, maybe even a 9.5. Because I know that whatever comes at me, I can handle it because I've handled 100% of the hard days I've had so far and came out on top. So here we are at our last rating, 1 to 10. Where do you rate on believing you are worthy of happiness? And just like that, we're wrapping up another powerful journey together. Investing in yourself, in understanding your growth from the core of who you are, is the most valuable path you can take towards creating a life that feels as good on the inside as it looks to others on the outside. Today, we tapped into evaluating where you're at, a crucial step in navigating towards the life you've been dreaming of. Remember, it's okay if some of the truths uncovered today felt a bit uncomfortable, or if the excitement of change is bubbling inside you. Both emotions are a signal that you're ready for this transformation. Heck, even if you're just listening to this podcast, it's a sign that you're ready for transformation. As we close this chapter, I want to leave you with a bit of encouragement. Believe in the possibility of your dreams. They're not as far out of reach as they may seem. Next week, we're diving into goal setting, transforming dreams into plans and plans into reality. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. You're going to create a clear, actionable plan where we're going to tackle all those goals head on. Are you feeling pumped? Ready to take on the world one goal at a time? Because that's exactly where we're headed, towards a future where you don't just dream of success, you live it. Let's keep pushing, keep evolving, and keep believing because the best is yet to come. Are you ready to step into the next phase of your journey to you? Let's make it happen together. See you next week, dreamers. Keep shining, keep dreaming, and most importantly, keep believing in your journey to you.